Welcome my dear friend, Mr. Dan Sullivan. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah, well, it's about changing your game. And, back in 1974, when I first started coaching, I developed a role model, and the role model was the microchip, which people were just talking about the microchip around 1974. And the microchip basically takes the speed of information and puts it into a smaller space. So the constant evolution of microtechnology over the last going on 50, 60 years now has constantly pumped more and more information to more space. Well, since that was taken care of by the microchip, I decided to focus on another area and take the most actionable wisdom and pack it into the shortest period of time. And so what this does is that as you do this, you actually increase your impact on the planet. And so my thing, a little quote here from George Bernard Shaw, that progress is impossible without change. We know that the microchip is causing change. The question is, are you changing with it? So it really requires of mind shifts all the time, actually changing your mind. So I'm going to pack 41 years of coaching. My original attempt was to pack 41 years of coaching into 50 minutes. That was my goal. But as I got thinking about it over the last month, I decided to pack it into 30 minutes and then leave some room for your wisdom in response to what I'm showing you. So I've taken my entire coaching career and broken it down into 3 graphics. One of them is a circle, the other one is 4 boxes, and the other one is a curve. So I'm going to go to the circle first. And what this circle really represents, and what I want you to do is to actually get your pen out, because we're going to actually write here. And the thing I'd like you to do is to consider this circle all of your time and all of your activities as they're presently devoted to your business. So the circle represents just where you are right now. And so in 15 minutes, I'm going to get you to change your mind about where you are right now. And then I have 4 boxes I'm going to show you. And in 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how you're going to change your mind about what you're going to do during the next 90 days. And then the upward curve that I spoke about, in 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how you're going to change your mind about what you're going to do for the next 25 years. So this is basically what I'm going to do in the next half hour. So the first thing I want you to do is to imagine this circle that it actually has 3 parts. And what this circle really represents is your emotional reaction to different things that you're actually doing right now. Snapshot of where you are right now. And what the first outer circle stands for, we call this A, and the second one we call B, and the third one we call C. And A stands for everything in your business right now, all the time that you're spending that really irritates you. So this is the irritating part of your life right now. How many of you can relate to that right away? Okay, yeah. And it's very important to actually tell the truth about what irritates you, because if you don't tell the truth about what irritates you, you can't actually do something else. The second part of what your life is right now is B, and this is the okay part of your business. And usually the okay part of your business is related to cash flow. Okay, how many of you are okay with cash flow? Okay, it's not irritating, but it's also, some of it is not very exciting. Okay, and then the third part, C, really represents the part of your business where you're spending your time and your action with that is really fascinating and motivating. Okay, so you're very fascinated with this. It's new, it's got a lot of promise, and it's very motivating because it looks like it's going to be really big. It's going to be a lot better. Okay, how many of you have all 3 of those right now? You have irritating, you have okay. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you actually do a little list of the 3 most irritating things right now, okay? And people can be irritating. So how many of you have people who are irritating? Situations. How many of you have situations that are irritating? Right? And how many of you just have activities or tasks that are very irritating? Maybe obligations. How many of you have obligations that are irritating? Yeah. So anyway, it's just your truth, and I'm just going to give you an example of 3 of mine. And one of mine is spending any time with entrepreneurs who don't have any ambition. Okay, it seems like a wasted effort to me. How many of you realize that being an entrepreneur is a life sentence? How many of you know you can't go back? How many of you know they won't have you? How many of you wouldn't hire you? Okay, so that's really, so I tell people it's a life sentence. There's no out. And so don't do your life sentence in an irritating fashion. Actually get rid of the irritations. That's why you became an entrepreneur in the first place. Okay, so the second one for me is meetings that don't have any impact. Okay, so we have a tool in Strategic Coach, which is called the impact filter. And what I require is that before we have a meeting, I want your impact filter the day before, because I don't want to spend half the meeting trying to figure out what the meeting's about. I want to know what the meeting's about the next day, and I don't ask anyone to meet with me unless they get an impact filter. And then the next one is non-strategic days and hours. So I have a time system where I only do 3 important things a day, okay? So sometimes I get my 3 important things done by 11 o'clock in the morning, and that's my day. The rest of the day is not for work, okay? And the reason why I figure 3 things a day is that in a 5-day work week, I get 15 important things done. How many of you, if you got 15 important things done in a week, that's a good week, okay? And I work 210 days a year. Babs is she who decides. So anyway, she who decides decided about 25 years ago that we'd take 155 free days a year. So we have which gives me 210 days. And if I do 3 important things, it's 630 important things, 630 important things in a year. How many of you, if you did 630 important things in a year, it would be a good year? And do that for 25 years, and good lifetime for a life sentence. Okay, so that's yours. Now I want you to write down right now where you are. This is October 26, 2015. What it really irritates you now, and there's a huge bonus for telling the truth here. Okay, just tell the truth about what irritates you. Okay, if you don't tell your brain what irritates you, your brain can't take action. Your brain can't see any solution to it. So just write it down. The moment you write it down, your brain starts finding the solution. Could be big or small. A lot of people won't write what irritates them because they think there isn't a solution, but the truth is there is no solution until you write it down. Yeah, so, our brain just wants to know what to work on, and you're the only one that can tell it. Okay, so that's it. Okay, now I'm going to move on to okay, and for me, okay is I like intro sales presentations. We started off where I had to travel all over the world actually to do sales presentations. Now they're closer to home, and they don't irritate me, they don't excite me, but they're great. I mean, they're great for cash flow, and I'm still in a position where that's important for my company, so I do it, but it's not, I'd like to see a future where I don't have to do this anymore. And that's usually what okay things are for you. It's, you'll do it right now. Another one is coaching the basic concepts. So we've been coaching for 41 years, and I personally coach 6,000 people. And there's basic concepts related to time and money and relationship and purpose. And I don't mind coaching those. I mean, I'm more excited about the new stuff that's being created, but I'll do it. And then the third one is There's new knowledge products that I'm creating, and there's parts of the process that's okay for me. Lots of parts of the process are fascinating and motivating, but there's still some things that are okay. So this is a good area. This is a tremendous area. And what we want to do as part of the logic of what I'm showing you, this ABC model, is you want to always, every 90 days, be eliminating your current irritating, and then you want to systematize and automate the B's, the okay part. So that's kind of a progression. Eliminate the A's, systematize and automate the B's. The Four Seasons Hotel has a great line, which is systematize the predictable and humanize the exceptional. Okay, so the more you can systematize the predictable part of your business, it frees you up to humanize, which means creativity and all sorts of new kinds of innovation, and it's really great. And then the third one, C, is what I love. I've come up with this fabulous new idea. I'm so excited. And it's been about the last 6 months where I've discovered how you can score mindsets. And basically what I'm really discovering is that the whole world actually runs by mindsets. It doesn't run by products or services. It actually runs by people wanting to graduate in their lives to a particular type of mindset. And I figured out how to create the mindsets, but not only that, I can teach anyone else how to create a mindset, a scorecard for mindsets that are important to you. So I'm very, very excited about this. Next thing is we have a part of the program which is called the 10 Times Ambition program, and I really love it because I'm about 90 days ahead of my clients, and I have to constantly come up with new stuff, and I'm very excited about that. And my final one is I've got a whole group, a growing number of my 10 times clients. You know, a lot of them are in the room right here. You know, Joe, very much so. I've got Dean Graziosi here. I've got Stefan Wissenbach. I've got lots and lots of people here, and they're really changing games for other people. So I really, really love Robin. Robin's over here. Robin's a game changer. So I really, really, really love working with people who are game changers. And my definition of a game changer is that where all of your competitors actually become your customers and promoters. When you have changed the game of the entire industry, then your competitors actually become your biggest customers and your biggest promoters. And you can tell, that's one of the telltale signs. How many of you would really like to do that? You would actually, yeah, that's a huge thing. I really don't like competition. You know, I like everybody else to be competing, but I just really don't like doing it. I'm the fifth child of two fifth children, and I wasn't born with a competitive chip. So I was just born with a sneaky chip. Sneaky chip. I know how to bypass trouble, okay? And I never thought competing was really a good use of time, okay?
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
So the big thing here now, how many of you this is clarifying? You know, this kind of clarifying where you are, and you do this every 90 days. Like this gives you 90 days of work, and you can make a big shift. How many of you, if you eliminated the A's, automated and systematized the B's, and then focus a lot more time on the C's, this would be a big deal for you. This would be a big shift. Okay, well, how are we going to figure out where we are right now? So what I want you to do, you'll notice the little boxes right under A, B, and C, your activities. What I want you to do is say what percentage out of 100% of your time right now, what percentage are you spending in A? What amount of time are you spending in B? And what amount of time are you spending in C? And these are my real numbers for this quarter, okay? And what I want to tell you is no matter how good you get at getting rid of A's, next quarter there will be a new bunch of A's that irritate you. Some of the OKs right now will become irritating next quarter, okay? And the reason is because as you get more and more into fascinating and motivating, okay things become irritating. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So what I want you to do now is, this is where you are right now, and what I want you to do is say, what percentage of your time, next time, in 90 days, do you want to be spending on A? And for me, it's 0. Okay? Those activities. What percentage of those activities do I want to be spending? And I want to drop it down to 10. So I've gotten rid of 10, I've gotten rid of 10% there, and so next time I want to be spending 90% of my time on this. Okay, really good. How many of you you can see the shift? That's a big shift. 20% of your time being shifted to fascinating and motivating. That's a big deal. How many of you can get excited right now by the prospect of doing that? Yeah, that's really super. Now, I'm just going to have you come down below this, and I want you to say how you're actually going to do this. Okay, so one of our things is that the scorecard concept that we have, we've really developed it very well at the 10 times ambition level, and now over the next quarter, I want it to go throughout the program. Everybody on a scorecard. Impact filter only rules. Okay, so sometimes I let people meet with me without an impact filter, and I'm getting mad as hell, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. And so the next quarter, no impact filter, no meeting. And the next one is just to reinforce my 3 things a day. Okay, 3 important things. And if you restrict the number of things that you do in a day to a fixed number, like 3, you only have one way of improving, and that is since you can't increase the quantity of things that you're doing, you have to increase the quality. Okay, so I'm an enemy of busyness on the planet. I'm a huge enemy of busyness. I think busyness interferes with people's growth of ambition, and I think busyness interferes with people's sense of courage. Okay? You can fool yourself by being busy that you're actually making progress, but it's a bit of a treadmill. Okay? And then I'm just going to put these in. More of this is my information, but I want you to say the 3 things that you're going to do to automate and systematize B, and then with the 90% that I have here, and you have another percentage, what I want you to do is to actually say what you're going to really focus on and what these activities are. So we've identified 9 possible areas for growth, and we've identified 9 activities that would lead to growth, and this is really super. We're really moving very, very nicely here. Okay, so this is cool. And now, if you could only do one thing over the next quarter, if you could only do one thing, I'll let you. I know some of you are writing furiously. Okay. 60% of my client base historically have been ADD. And so I've found that with ADD people, you got to do it really fast, and you got to get them to write in small boxes. That you can keep them almost forever and have them only write about themselves. I find the greatest way to engage another human being is have the entire conversation be only about them. How many of you are quite engaged when it's about you? Yeah. That comes from being a 5th child. I have a rule. I'm number 21. So when I meet a new person, I automatically assume that they have 20 more important things in their life than meeting me. Okay? And then if they are going to move me up into the top 20, it's because I'm creating value for them that actually engages them, but it has to be about them. Okay, so that makes life a lot simpler. The worst illusion in life that any of this was created for you. Okay, so what I want you to do now is zero in on the one thing that would actually be a game changer. What would be a game changer here? Okay, and you can only pick one. You'll do more than one, but I want you to have your focus on one. Okay, so for me, it's the I have 3 game changers, and I want to get them into a digital platform. So not only do they have a scorecard, but they have a digital platform. And by January 31st, I want 3 of my game changers with a scorecard in a digital platform. Okay, and I'm working with Stefan here, bright guy from England. Not all of them are, you know. They stick out. Yeah. All right, that goes for Americans too. All right, so how many of you, this is revealing? So this is kind of like a really, really fast way of taking a look at your quarter. Now here's a real tip for you. How many of you have teams? Okay. Go back, there's an extra blank one of these in your pack. Go back and do this with your team and allow your team the movement now to get rid of the irritating work. And a lot of the irritating work really is what your company used to do, but it's not really necessary. You know, it's kind of like your wardrobe, 80% of it you haven't worn in a year. Okay, so why do you still have those clothes around? Okay, just get rid of it. And how many of you have people in your life that are like clothes? 80% of them, you feel some sort of obligation, but you actually don't act on it. So we get rid of that. Okay, now we got to do another thing. So we're going to go to the 4 boxes right now. And this is a little thing that I discovered probably over the course of my life. But most people want a change delivered to them so they can always stay in a state of capability and confidence. And that's what perfectionism, by the way. Perfectionism is absolutely the enemy of entrepreneurism, because perfectionism is the demand that you be guaranteed up front with success before you'll actually commit yourself to it. How many of you have done that, where you absolutely demand that success be guaranteed to you before you'll actually commit to the project? Okay, and the world doesn't work that way. It needs you to actually commit before the success can actually be created. And what that requires is courage. Okay, so commitment requires courage. So I want you to take the game changer breakthrough from the previous one, and I want you just to write from the bottom of the ABC page, write what you have in the bottom box and put that at the top. Okay, and so we have the create one-on-one game changer coaching process by December 31st. Okay, so we'll have that in place. And then this is really part of getting them digital. Okay, and then my commitment. Now, a commitment is the statement to yourself that I am going to commit to this even though I don't have the guarantee of success. And that's what entrepreneurism is, that you commit yourself before you have a guarantee of success, okay? And I've coached entrepreneurs all over the world, from 60, 70 different industries. And one of the things I notice is when entrepreneurs start to die is when they start thinking of having a courage-free future. When you start thinking you're going to have a courage-free, the universe notices. It's a bit like the Terminator, the lights going out like this, and the universe starts wanting the parts back. When you tell the universe, I want a courage-free life, the universe wants the parts back. Okay? And you start dying, okay, in life. So with mine, by the end of 2015, I used all my experience from individual game-changing coaching sessions over the past 2.5 years to create a unique process that standardizes everything I know will be working for all existing and new game changer sessions in 2016. Okay, so game changer is the scary part of my life right now. Okay, and I'm really, I just have to create it out of courage right now. The moment you start creating stuff, and each of you can analyze the 5 biggest breakthroughs in your life with this card. Okay? Every time you took a big breakthrough in your life is because you committed before there was a guarantee of success, which required courage. The difference between courage and confidence is that confidence feels really good. Courage doesn't. How many of you when you're feeling really shaky and you're feeling really, really scared, and you're saying, oh, this is really terrible, actually it's courage. It's actually courage. And that's why a lot of people don't like courage, because it feels lousy, okay? But the more you commit 100%, the shorter the courage that's required. And that's really interesting. So I'm into short courage. I've tested long courage, and I like short courage. I like courage that's maybe 24-hour courage, okay? 15 minutes is even better. 15 minutes is better, you know. And then there's some people, crazy people like Peter Diamandis, who has a lifetime of courage. Lifetime of courage. Yeah, I'm not that advanced yet. Okay, then the courage is that I hate going back. First of all, I have to go back and do an activity that I actually hate, and I have to collect all my notes over the last 2.5 years, and I got to organize them because I'm the only one who knows where they are, and I'm the only one who knows how they actually connect with each other. So part of courage is for a while doing a particular type activity that moves you to the next level, but you're going to have to put in the time to actually do that. How many of you have something right now that it requires a very unpleasant activity on your part for a period of time, but if once you get it finished, then you never have to do that again in your life, and it puts you in a position where you can take a jump? Yeah. And so everybody thinks about courage, you know, like in a very heroic, medal-winning terms, but a lot of courage is just what it is in your life right today that is required to go through to get to the next level. There's 7.3 billion people on the planet right now, and each of them got up during this 24-hour period, and they're facing something that represents the next jump for them, okay? So one of my goals, I'll talk to you a little bit later, is that this is an exercise that's going to be online. It'll be an online app by the end of this month, probably by November 1st, and it's for phones, it's for pads, and it's for computers, where you can just download this and use it. But what I'd like you to do is to distribute it to everybody in your network, because I have a goal, and this is my influence from Peter Diamandis, that by 2039, we have 1 billion people on the planet using this exercise to basically grow on a daily basis. It'll be 1 out of 9 people, and if you have one out of 9 people actually going through courage on a day, it makes everything better. Just makes it. What they're doing, I have no idea, nor do I care. I just want them moving forward on the thing that gives them courage. That's all I want to do. Okay? And then once we get this, you get a capability out of it. So it's the commitment and the courage that actually creates capability. Okay? So it's a bit like the commercials, you know, apply, lather, rinse, reapply. And this is the same thing here. Okay? So the same thing is you have to, commitment creates courage, courage creates capability, capability creates confidence. So the next one is confidence, okay? And see, this is what people really, really want, but they want confidence given to them. Nobody can give you confidence. You have to create confidence by going through commitment, courage, and developing a new capability, and it's the 3 of those. And once you get the higher level of confidence, then you can commit at a higher level, okay? And as long as you keep doing this for the rest of your life, you'll always be young. No matter what age you are, you'll always be young. People get old when they try to have capability and confidence without commitment and courage, okay? So that's just how the world works and what it means to be truly human. Okay, so that's it. So this is what your next 90 days is about. How many of you, if you did this during the next 90 days, that would be a real breakthrough? Yeah. Yeah, and I've got a lot of people here. You know, we have 300 in the room, and each of you is working on something else, and it's you working on something else that makes the world go round, okay? Because you influence a lot of other people while you're doing it, okay? It's not big stuff. It's the thing that you have to deal with right now. Okay, now I'm going to take you to the next one. And this is an upward arrow, and this is really important. So I did the 90 days. You've just done the ABC to set this up, and then you did the 4 C's, and now I'm going to show you that if you do the ABC and you do the 4 C's every day, or at the beginning of every 90 days, that just locks you in just for the next 90 days. So in my program as strategic coach, the time period I get everybody to think about is 25 years, okay? So for me, I started a new 25-year period last year, 2014, and I'm going to 2039. But for you today, what you're doing 25 years from 2015 to 2040, okay? So last year I was 70, so my next growth period, and this will be my biggest growth period, is from age 70 to age 95. So when I'm 95, I'm more energized, I'm a lot smarter, I'm a lot more ambitious than I am right now, okay? And the reason I want to do that is because I want to do it. People say, well, why do you need to do that? I say, I do not need to do that. I want to do it. Okay, most of you in this room are beyond the borderline of need. You're into the world now of want. Okay, and want doesn't have anything to do with other people thinking about what you should do. Want is simply, this is what I want to do, and the reason why you want to do it is because you want to do it. How many of you that's actually relieving? There's no justification in the world of wanting. In the world of needing, there's total justification because you're expecting other people to do it. In the world of wanting, strictly your game. So you got the 90 days, and then you do 100 quarters like this. So you do the ABC, so this quarter, which goes right up until the beginning of 2016, you do that, okay, and then you jump to a higher level, and then the beginning of the next 90 days, you do that, and you do this for 100 quarters in a row. How many of you think it would really take you somewhere? Yeah, and remember, each one of those 90 days is just 1% of 25 years. So if you blow one, it doesn't really matter. So what I do is every quarter I do 5 things. This is my number one thing, but I actually do 5 things, 5 multiplier projects, and it's like compound interest. See, people really grasp compound interest when it comes to money, but they don't actually understand compound interest when it comes to capability. So every 90 days, I want to ratchet up my level, first of all, of operating in the area of fascinating and motivating, and I want to ratchet up being in a continual cycle of commitment, courage, capability, and confidence, and do that every quarter. And it's like investing now in something that's going to keep paying over. One of the big problems of living in the microchip age is people's reduced time frames. And if you reduce your time frames, time speeds up. If you lengthen your time frame, everything slows down. Okay? Okay, so this is October 26, 2015. I'd like to take you back to October 26th, 1990. And what I'd like you to do is tell me the 3 things that were really ticking you off that day. Nobody remembers. How many of you, though, can remember what generally you were really excited about in 1990? How many of you can get a handle on that? So here's a tip. Our brain only remembers excitement. It doesn't remember getting ticked off. That being the case about the future, don't try to remember getting ticked off in the future. Just remember, see, the only memory-worthy things that are fascinating and motivating, nothing else is worth reminding. Doesn't last more than a couple of days. Okay.
So, Craig, I've really crafted some questions here to really get into some good stuff. So, you're the discipline and productivity guy, but surprisingly, before you even start scheduling your day, you say there are much more important things to think about. So tell us about the 3 V's every entrepreneur needs to know before moving on with their day.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to start with your values first. So imagine like you have a time pyramid. And so at the top is where you would have actually what you're going to do in the day. But at the bottom, you're going to put in your values, because your values are going to drive every single thing that you do. If your values are family first, it's going to drive how you start your day, what you do over the course of the day, how much you work. So you had that example yesterday, Joe, of the guy who was thinking about opening his 57th hardware store,
right,
and he was overweight and not spending any time with his family. Listen, you can make him super productive at opening hardware stores, but it's the wrong thing. And a lot of people in entrepreneurship become super productive at the wrong thing. And so I ask one question of all the coaching clients that I work with, which is, in the next 20 years, what do you want to accomplish in the 4 top values in your life? Your family, your health, your wealth, and experiences. That's where everything has to start. So once you know that, I want to raise great kids, okay, good. That means no 13-hour days for you. It's very simple to start planning your day that way. So it's values first on the bottom of the foundation of the pyramid. That's the strongest rock that you start with. Then on top of that is something that Dean was talking about yesterday, which is your vision. That's where you get to next. Values drive your vision. And then you have to know your value of your time. So if you take a look at all the people in here, like an income level at the bottom line would be $500,000 a year probably. So that means every single hour of your working day is worth $250. Now, who here is willing to admit that they're still doing stuff like running errands, going to the UPS store, cutting the lawn, making meals, all this stuff, even writing a book? And I know that a lot of female entrepreneurs, you are guilted into it by mother-in-law or by mother, right? You are still making all the meals, you're still doing all the cooking, and it's killing you because you're trying to run this business at the same time. Now, I remember back in 2009 watching an Eben Pagan video, and Eben said in the video, entrepreneurs can't be doing their laundry. And when I first saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm doing my laundry. I'm wasting all this time all this stuff is below my value. So if your value is $250 or more per hour, that's a lot of money you can put into having people do everything for you. And that's the mindset you have to have as you go and schedule in your day. Even if you want to write a book, think about writing a book. How long is it going to take you if you're not a writer? But you know you have a great book in you, right? It's going to take you over 100 hours. Now, if your time is worth $250 and it's going to take you more than 100 hours to write a book, just pay Tucker 25 grand and get the book done so much faster. That's who I've used for both of my books, and it saves me a ton of time. So you have to have that type of thinking. Starts with your vision, or your values, your vision, and the value that you put on yourself, and it's going to make you a whole bunch of time to then focus on what matters. So what Tony said yesterday, the one problem in his life is time. I bet you if I spend a full day with Tony, I could save him or make him 30 minutes of time. And if the guy's running $6 billion worth of revenue in companies, that's going to be worth a lot to him. I can do that for him.
What we should do, I'll take the video of this and I'll take that clip and send it to Tony.
Good.
And see if he does that.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy's done all of that stuff better than anybody. No.
Well, yeah, so that's my next question. So Bedros, you and Craig, you guys have been working together for about a decade, I think.
Yeah, about a decade.
And you've created a whole winning system by watching pretty much what this guy does.
Yeah.
Because he's very much that guy. And by the way, let me mention this because I didn't do this. I've gone through Craig's whole process, spent a day and a half with him. Amazing. And really just such a great thinker. So tell us how having clarity of path and becoming a disciplined entrepreneur allowed you to go from anxiety attacks and tremors, which you were having, to a $25 million business, I think it is approximately.
Yeah.
And one of the fastest growing fitness franchises on the planet.
Well, I've had the good fortune of, before he ever wrote the book, The Perfect Day Formula, and before he ever had the Perfect Life workshops that I've gone through as well, I've had the good fortune of having environmental exposure to this guy. And if you haven't had a chance to have environmental exposure to Craig, it's a unique experience. His gift is outside eyes. And so at first I would laugh, like, why is it that you want to have dinner at 5:30? That's kind of like a late lunch for me, right? Why aren't we partying? Because we run masterminds together, Miami, San Diego, Las Vegas, Tennessee. We're having good time. We're in great cities, man. Let's like party till midnight. What do you mean you're going to bed by 9 o'clock? What gives? But I soon started realizing that as I was laughing, I was having anxiety attacks when I'd go home and essential tremors. I would just lock up and freeze, and my wife would just like look at me like, what's going on? And I very quickly realized that his life structure is what I need if I plan on taking this franchise that was just puttering along and really making it reach its fullest potential. And I'm far from that. Our goal is 2,500 locations by the year 2020. We've got 614 locations as of yesterday that are actually open and more in development. But the life structure and discipline that I've been able to witness from him, never mind reading the book and experiencing it firsthand from the workshop, has been a game changer for me. And for most leaders, most of us in here, and I know you can, you've experienced this, where you feel like you're overwhelmed with opportunity. You truly have more opportunities than you have time left on the calendar. That's the reality of it. You try and put so many irons in the fire, and that's what I was doing. And at the end of the day, I realized, what is my biggest purpose on this planet? I'm still a personal trainer. It's just now I'm going to touch millions of lives through our Fit Body Bootcamp franchise, and I'll touch lives of people who'll never know me, but I'll be a bigger trainer than Tony Little and Jillian Michaels through our franchise. So why am I striking up a deal with this guy? Why am I doing another event here when my purpose is to be the world's biggest trainer, making an impact in people's health, fitness, lifestyle, self-esteem, self-image? And so I went narrow and deep on my focus of Fit Body Bootcamp, and it went from failing in 2012, 13, and anxiety attacks, and I was in a very dark, negative place, taking Vicodin and NyQuil every night to go to sleep, to now a $25 million company and growing, where I have 2 VPs running the organization and a leadership team, and then, of course, implementers who execute our vision. And that's really, if you're in this room, you're a visionary. You just come up with the vision and the path, and you execute to your high-performance team.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there. Okay, so from what I'm getting from you, you're in this place, you then learn how to structure, and so that pretty much is designing your day. So how does one go about doing that and starting that?
Okay, so I speak to a lot of fitness gym owners and stuff like that, and so I use this phrase, the champion mindset, in that all these fitness gym owners, they've, at one point in their life, they've either been a champion athlete in college, or they've been a bodybuilder or something like that, and so they're very successful in one area of their life, but then they struggle with sales, or they struggle with their time management. And I say to them, listen, you've already been really, really, really successful here. You've put the systems in place. And so all you have to do is transfer that champion mindset over to this other area in life where you're struggling. So that is just thinking like, okay, well, it's planning and preparation. It was having a coach. It was having a deadline. It was getting the accountability. It was having all those things. And so whatever it is that you guys are good at, wherever you have had great success in life, you just have to transfer that over to having the systems in your own productivity. So can I tell you a very embarrassing story about how I almost fought Sean Stevenson?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that was wonderful.
So I hired Sean for his breakthrough day earlier this year. And it's a heck of a day, and I was going to him because I have all the productivity and stuff in place, but I wasn't getting into deep emotional relationships. And so Sean was helping me through that. And he showed me by the end of the day of our 12 hours together that I had basically built myself a system to stop myself from getting into deep emotional relationships with women. So I was building myself a prison, essentially. And Sean pointed that out to me, and I was very angry at Sean for pointing it out to me because I didn't like to be shown that I'm not perfect. And so,
money up front.
right.
Sean sent money up front, if you can.
Money up front. I love that.
So Sean was actually, were you terrified? Were you worried?
Maybe we could grab him a mic.
Sean was concerned because we were both standing there and staring at this whiteboard where he had pointed out that I had built this prison for myself. And so it sucked. I didn't want to admit it.
There was shame. Like, it was like, how the hell did I create this very problem that I claim that I don't want? And that's the hardest part about it.
Yeah, and so he pointed out to me that I built this system that put me in a bad place. And then I realized, hey, I can just go and dismantle that system and build a new system that allows me to have what I want. And I've since done that, and thank you, Sean, for pointing that out. But it just goes to show you that if you've built a system, like there's a lot of great marketers in here who might struggle with family relationships or their health, and you've built a great marketing system. You can go and do the same thing for your time management, for your health, for your family relationships. It's all just about building systems that work for you. And the 5 things that I've used to build systems for anything that can change your life in any way is having better planning and preparation than ever before, having professional accountability, which is going to give you expert advice and someone to hold you accountable and not let you get away with anything. Third is positive social support. So that's being in a room like this. You know, you might not get breakthrough ideas from everybody in here, but they're going to pick you up when you're feeling down. Fourth is having a meaningful incentive. So we're not doing things for money or stuff. It's what matters in life is people and experiences. So a meaningful incentive has to come from your heart, not from your wallet. And then finally, the big deadline. There has to be a deadline in the behavioral change that you want to make. And if you have those 5 things in place, you can do anything in life. You can lose weight, you can get rich, you can find the love of your life, the home of your dreams, whatever you want, if you use those 5 things. So just put them in place, build the systems you want for your time, for your family, for your making $1 million.
So when you focused on this thing, I mean, I guess the way is that's the big picture thing for you that you needed to build things around.
Absolutely.
So like how do you structure your day? Like what does your day look like and how can people in this room structure their day?
Well, the most important thing is that you get up. It doesn't matter what time you get up. So I get up early in the morning, but you don't have to get up really early in the morning. What you need to do first thing in the morning when you get up is focus on your #1 priority in life for 15 minutes. And the reason why I say that is because most people don't spend 15 minutes a day without electronics thinking about their #1 priority in life. It could be an opportunity to take advantage of, or it could be a problem that you're going through. If you give yourself 15 minutes a day, 6 days a week, for 52 weeks in a year, that's 72 hours of clear, uninterrupted thinking. And you can write a book in that time, you can do anything you want. But most people don't do it. And most people, does anybody in here get stressed out before 8 o'clock because their morning routine has too much crap in it? You know, you have to do meditation, you have to do gratitude journaling, you have to do freeform journaling, you have to do exercise, you have to do yoga with JP, and you have to do interpretive dance. Like, you have to do all of that before 7 in the morning, according to like these articles that you see on the internet. And most people are getting stressed out. So don't do any of that stuff. Instead, just sit there and think, go down to your kitchen table, think on your #1 priority for 15 minutes, and then the rest of your day, it can go any which way you want, but you've already had that victory. That's the most important thing. If I can just give you one piece of advice, that's it.
That wasn't bad. That was not bad.
Can I share something where that's concerned too, and it's really made a big change in my life. I'm sure it'll make a big change in yours. Is every single person's morning routine needs to start the night before. And again, this is through environmental exposure through Craig. I've learned more by watching this guy than ever by asking him questions. Because sometimes when you're the problem, you don't know what questions to ask to get out of the problem. But when you watch, you learn. And even in the evenings now, as soon as I get home, after the first hour of being home, I just turn my phone on silent and airplane mode, and I leave it alone. Anything that happens work-wise, I'm not going to be able to solve it 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, #1. #2, I don't want to feel guilt the next day when I'm working that I didn't spend actual valuable time connecting with my wife and kids, because we're all sucking off the screen there. I don't screen suck anymore. I mean, imagine how many people fall asleep in this very room screen sucking the very last thing you did before you fell asleep, and now that's really impacting your subconscious mind. Instead, I'll still open up my notes, because remember, it's in airplane mode, so there's no notifications popping up, and I've turned off all notifications, but there's no text messages popping up. Open up my phone and write down my 5 things I'm going to attack the next morning. And so I do that brain dump the night before. I'm not screen sucking and reading bad news, bad emails. The problem's still going to be there tomorrow morning when I can actually do something about it with my VPs and my team leads, et cetera. In the evening time, I'm not going to stress about it. And so if you just focus on actually setting yourself up to win the night before by eliminating screens, by not hitting the snooze button in the morning, because I'm convinced, and someone needs to do a study on this, that if you hit the snooze button first thing in the morning, you really are telling your subconscious mind that I'll take 10 more minutes of interrupted sleep over getting out and dominating my purpose in life. And I believe over time, that stacks up against you, like a stack of dominoes where you hit the I'm a loser domino and off it goes, right? Every morning, it's like we have 2 stacks of dominoes to hit. If you hit the snooze button, you're hitting the I'm a loser stack. But that's been a big thing for me, man, preparing the night before for the next morning. And we all know when you win your mornings, you win your days, they add up into a massive amount of success in your life, whether it's family, health, happiness. Like when people tell me, gee, Bedros, I just have a few more pounds to lose. It's like, fuck, man, we're all millionaires in here, right? We're all doing well. You can't hire a nutrition expert. You can't hire a personal trainer. Then it's like, well, I can, but I don't have the time. How do you not have the time? And I later found out they're not working in their 5%. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about your 5%, at least in the Genius Network groups that I've been in. One time, this was, I don't know, almost 11, 12 years ago, I was working out of my home. We didn't have an office then. My wife calls upstairs to the guest house and she goes, hey, dude, sprinkler has a leak. It's like a fountain in our backyard. I said, oh, I'll be down and fix it. And so I went down to fix it, and I'm pretty handy with that stuff, but I got mud all over my arms. And the only employee I had was one assistant. Her name was Amanda at the time. Comes down and she goes, hey, people are responding to the email you just sent out. They actually want to get on the phone with you and see if the coaching is right. I said, oh man, Amanda, I've got mud all over me. You've heard me do the close many a times. You got this. Now I'm asking Amanda to work outside of her 5%. I'm working outside of my 5%. What could have cost me $20 to pay someone else to fix that sprinkler, I lost a $5,000 sale. At the time it was $5,000. Today it's $50,000, the coach with me. But $5,000 to me might as well have been $50,000 back then, 11 years ago. And that was the best lesson. And you all have your 5%. Most of you, it's delegate, motivate, and sell. You delegate to your team. You motivate your business partners, your clients, your team, and then you sell. That's it. Anything outside of that, if you're doing your laundry, if you're doing your grocery shopping, we've got a house manager. Her name is Ballantyne, and she does the shopping for us and changes the light bulb. Anything that's in the 5%. My wife says, hey, can you take out the garbage? No, it's not on my 5%. Hey, the light bulb's out. It's not on my 5%. Hey, the sprinkler sprung a leak. It's not on my 5%. But now there's someone who can do it. You can afford to get another wife in your house or a... You know how I mean that. Some of you know how I mean that. Yeah. But you really can. And you forget this. And my challenge to you is, why don't you buy back some of your time, focus on your 5% that matters, so you could really focus on what happiness is, which to me it's money, meaning, health, and relationships. That's it. It's a simple formula, really.
Well, in 1997, I hired Gary Halbert for, well, I think you both have maybe heard the XXX Halbert tapes. I recorded it just on, a little cassette player, and for myself, we ended up distributing it as a product. And it was me and Pamela Yellen and Gary Halbert, John Carlton. We're all sitting around in this hotel room because I was up there doing consulting with Bill Phillips at the time, Body for Life author. And basically, we're all making a list of, if we were all millionaires, what are the things that we would have in our lives? And one thing that every person wrote down is a personal trainer. And then I think it was John Carlton that said, you don't need to be a millionaire to hire a personal trainer. You don't need to be a millionaire to hire a lot of these things. You can just, and as a matter of fact, by not doing it, it's one of the best ways to not become a millionaire, because you spend all of your time doing what you just explained.
True enough. And you start to feel like an imposter in your industry. You really do, because the content you're going to deliver on that video, you're not delivering at 100% because you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. How you're going to pitch from the stage, you don't feel 100%. Let me tell you, I'm in the fitness industry, and it's been 15 years since I've trained a client. But when I was in that stressful period of my life, 7 to 8 years ago, as we were growing Fit Body Bootcamp, I was 25 pounds fatter. And when I would get up on stage at Fitness Business Summit to sell, it was no surprise. I was selling 5, 6, 7 mastermind coaching clients. Today, 90 to 100, 110 people come on board at a time. The difference is not my pitch. The difference is not anything else other than the fact that I feel authentic, and that transfers to the audience. Now, I don't care what you think. It transfers through video, through your email, through your mannerisms, your eye contact, every single thing, your stage presence. So work on you, man. Work on you first. It's so valuable.
Love it. I want to ask you both about how do you do, I mean, with what you're doing with the franchises, I mean, how do you deal with the information overload? I mean, you've touched on a lot of it with just even the, what you do in the morning, what you do the night before, but how do you deal with the sheer volume of stuff? And I mean, and everyone here has their own version of that.
Yeah, and we're all leaders, and so you can definitely, I know you've experienced this before, where you become the human bottleneck in your business, right? How often are you the one with the buck in your hands and you don't know what to do with it because you got 10 other bucks that you got to do something with? You're the human bottleneck. And so I quickly learned that I can't be the boss that runs it. I forget who was up here yesterday. I think it was Tony who said, you still have a job. You're a millionaire, but you still have a job. And so I'm a big believer in decentralized command. And all that simply means is I have 2 leaders, 2 VPs, VP of operations, VP of new business, because as we bring on new franchises that I take equity in, the VP of new business will make sure that they are running like Fit Body Bootcamp is running so that we have congruency and KPIs in place. But the VP of operations and VP of new business are the ones, I meet with them 35, 40 minutes every day after my workout. They go and delegate to the team leads. Team leads delegate to their implementers, their department, and then they execute. And the simple formula is this: what is it that we're doing? How's it going to look when it's done? And what is the deadline? That's it. So I just have to talk to my 2 VPs, and they go and delegate, and then when it's done, we'll have a meeting on it, and I might say, well, I don't like how that works, or what if we did it this way? But again, I'm no longer the bottleneck in my business. And when you're the bottleneck, now you start doing time theft from yourself. I'm going to cheat who was it? Todd Durkin. Todd Durkin, are you in here? Todd Durkin. Remember you were saying that at some point, I'm just going to eat a protein bar and skip lunch. Eating engineered food is not food. I don't care if it's a protein bar, it's not food. And you start stealing time from yourself, from your family, from your sanity, from your workouts, from your sleep. Before long, you're having an anxiety attack, an essential tremor, because the human body can't deal with that. So decentralized command. Find leaders, as Tony said, let them fail, create the systems, and delegate to them.
Anything you'd like to add?
I just don't know how to do anything, mostly with tech stuff. So I mean, he makes fun of me all the time. But on my phone, I have 2 apps, and that's all I have.
Do you still have a BlackBerry?
I still have a 7.5-year-old BlackBerry that I use, and you can't do anything on that thing. So I just avoid getting myself in trouble. I build a lot of systems because I'm a very weak person. Like anybody else, I get really tempted by things, and so I just keep myself out of harm's way. Just like, I tell, if somebody comes to me for weight loss, you tell them to keep the crap out of the house. Yeah. It's the simplest thing to do. So keep yourself out of trouble. How can you keep yourself out of trouble? Just go through your day and figure out what are the things that are causing me the most problems? What are the things that are getting me in the most trouble? And then figure out a way to keep them out of your life. So a lot of not to-dos is a good place to start. Most people's most important list is their not to-do list, not their to-do list.
Mm-hmm. No, what you just said is, it's interesting. I'm a very weak person. We all have areas where I've always liked, and you'll hear me talk about it, I'll ask different people, what's your kryptonite? What is the sort of thing that gets you in the way? Because the best way to get out of a hole is to quit digging it. And people dig a lot of their own holes, and I see that with addiction. A lot of people here that are workaholics, from my conversation with Gabor Mate, there's an understanding of where a lot of this stems from. It's just the things that a person becomes conditioned to that continues to build these dopamine hits. And so like phones is an example. If you have a workaholic problem or tendency or whatever you want to call it, but you're also doing all these other things that you are not strong with, that are these temptations. If you're an alcoholic, you can't keep booze around the house. If you're a food addict, you can't keep a bunch of freaking Snicker bars and shit everywhere. So
Well, I use this analogy, like, if you have young kids bring home this, they draw something, you can't figure out what it is, but they bring it home to you, right? And you give them your approval, and it's like giving them a gold star, right? And so as entrepreneurs, we're getting gold stars from things. And so like the next time you watch a video that says hustle and grind, 16 hours a day, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go and do that because, I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna get a gold star from some guy on the internet because he sees me hustling and grinding. But that's totally misaligned with your values, and that's where you get in trouble. But you keep on doing that. Next thing, oh man, you're really working hard. You know, I see you hustling, grinding. That's awesome. And you're getting positive reinforcement from the wrong thing. And so your actions are misaligned from your goals, and that's what causes what I call is like the first world problem, which is, you know, the biggest stress is when we're not aligned in what we're doing. And so if you keep on you say you want this in your life, but your actions are taking you down here, there's always going to be that stress inside you until you align your actions with your goals, which is starting with your values and your vision. And so, you know, what I've seen Bedros do now, like Bedros is even better with his time than I am now. Like he gets done work at 4 o'clock, so he plays with his kids before dinner, has dinner with his family, plays with his kids after dinner, has time to watch one television show and hang out in the hot tub with his wife. I mean, that, and run a business with 600 franchises. I mean, that's pretty good.
I like very simple definitions. I like small words. It boosts profits with 0 ad cost. What does that mean? That means EBITDA. What does that mean? Profit. Pure profit. No customer acquisition cost. Now, quick story. I'm in Manhattan. I'm living in Manhattan. It's 1992. I'm on a bus going on 57th Street to where I live on 63rd Street in New York City. And I hear on a cassette tape, now some of you millennials, there used to be something called CDs, right? It was put in a Sony Walkman. And then before that, there was something called a cassette tape. Now, before that, there's an 8-track. That's before my time. My mother still has Barry Manilow 8-track tapes, you know, the best hits and all that shit. But a cassette is how Nightingale, Conant, and other businesses built their businesses. And I was listening to a Jay Abraham cassette tape, and he said, there's only 3 strategies to grow any business. These are strategies, only 3. Because you can get new clients, you can have more purchase frequency or buying frequency, they buy more often, like continuity, or you can increase pricing. Now, of the 3, the funny thing about most business people, the smartest ones I know, they always focus on this one, new clients. And that's the hardest fucking one there is. Actually, that's the second F-bomb, sorry, no more after that, ladies and gentlemen. So new clients is the hardest, that's where everyone goes on. Why? Because they just want to pimp out what they got, but they're putting this pure pH 10 water or wine, if you drink, into a barrel that's leaking. And then purchase frequency, that's the second hardest, but it's easier than getting new clients. Why? Because you already have the client, you're just getting them to buy again. But increasing pricing, that's the easiest. But of the 3, the first 2, and Jay doesn't talk about this, and Jay's a good friend of mine, but and of course, he's been on Genius Network stages at the big event and other places, but increasing pricing, that is a mindset shift. New clients and purchasing frequency, that is a marketing strategy shift. So get your shit together mentally, increase your price, add a 0. If you have a coaching for $1,000, what additional value could you bring to it to make it 10,000? I was sitting next to someone who's called the sleep doctor just yesterday. His name is Michael Bruce, Dr. Michael Bruce, and Joe knows him. He lives in Manhattan, used to live here in this area in Scottsdale. And he told me there's a bed for $440,000. And it comes with a doctor, him. Okay, $440,000. My limit was like, I don't know, 10,000. Now I'm thinking, wow, maybe I was cheap. 50,000 for a bed. $440,000 they sold out. The 10 that they made. Beyonce has 2 of them. Oprah has 2. Drake has 1. Do those people have any disposable income problems? I don't think so. So if you can increase price, that's the easiest way to make the sales stick because those people have more disposable income. Now, another lesson, February 2022 at the big event where Joe came back, talk about his sabbatical. By the way, and I'm not going to say this to embarrass him, he gave the best talk I've seen him give at the Consumer Health Summit, which we were just at for 3 days with Michael Fishman on his sabbatical. It was off the charts. And if you get a chance to see that talk, you got to see it because it was really well done. I would never say that in public. I'm usually goofing on Joe. I would say that he has hair before I said that kind of thing. It was off the charts. That's just like a little sidebar. But I saw Jason Flanagan, who's a good friend. He's a 100K member. He's on stage and he says, okay, He makes things really simple, right? There's only 3 things that you do, and these are tactics, though, not strategies, tactics. There's 3 things any business does. They get traffic, they get conversion, and they do fulfillment. These are 3 things they do. You want more traffic, more conversion, and better fulfillment. Guess what people don't focus on? Fulfillment. Where's the stick strategy? Not with the traffic, not with the conversion, it's with the fulfillment. It's the boring shit that no one wants to do. Okay? You want to bring the pamperers in your company, let's say your support, and we're going to turn those people into certified stick managers for about $10,000 to make you 100K in less than 12 months. You know, that's the promise, but we'll see. I'm just playing with it, right? And the key point is falling in love with your fulfillment process will boost your LTV. LTV. So here's a pop quiz in the chat. What is LTV? Type it in. Let's see who knows. LTV, lifetime value, says Erica. That's correct. You know, after the first right answer, all you got to do to protect your confidence is write the same fucking shit they wrote. That's the third fuck, sorry. That's the fourth. And then all of a sudden you feel smarter. That's what I do, right? That's a stick strategy, by the way, right? So next up, Amazon does not get high LTV via CAC. Okay, what is CAC? Anyone know what CAC is? Pop quiz, what does CAC mean? Any advertisers in here? What is CAC? Cost of acquisition? No. Cost of acquisition is COA. CAC is customer acquisition cost, right? Customer acquisition cost. What does Jeff Bezos do? I don't believe in his politics. I mean, Jeff has a picture with him in Genius Network. But he does something that no one else does, and that is he doesn't give a shit about CAC. He asks himself, what's the most we can spend on a customer to make our competitors go bankrupt? What's the most we can spend on a customer to make our competitors go bankrupt? And then eventually, he'll end up either modeling the product, which is called stealing, and do it through his own brand, or he'll buy the company. That's Jeff Bezos, one of the richest people in the world. So customer acquisition costs, you want to lower that, right? Well, not according to Amazon. What they want to do is they want to pay the most customer acquisition costs as possible so they bankrupt their customers. What a great strategy. Maybe you think that is contrarian. How do you do that? Stick strategies. What's a stick strategy at Amazon? Those who bought this also bought this, okay? Those who bought that also bought that. That's a stick strategy. Reviews are stick strategies. When you see a bunch of reviews, that's a stick strategy. So here's the key point. Stick strategies are about meaningful fulfillment tactics. Traffic, conversion, and fulfillment. I want you to focus on fulfillment just for the next 20 minutes. And then let's try to make it sexy, right? Let's make the marriage like a honeymoon. Let's make the marriage like a fling. Fulfillment is super, super sexy when you see how profitable it can be. And then you can be like a Bezos mindset. If I can spend more because I have more. Why? Because there's no customer acquisition cost. I can spend a lot more because of my stick strategies. Fulfillment will reveal your client journey. What's a client journey? The client journey is every touch point after they say yes. Now, I'm going to teach you one meta stick strategy that you know about, you've heard about. You'll say, that's nothing new. Well, true discovery, says Marcel Proust, he was French. I think he was a painter, writer. He said, true discovery is not in seeking new landscapes. It's in looking at the same landscape with a new pair of eyes. And that's what I want you to do. You've heard these things. I'm not going to teach any new concepts. I haven't so far, but just looking at it differently, looking through another lens could be life-changing. Now, there's something I do at my events. And so like at a Genius Network event, I love this backpack. I gave these away at the panel where we got a bunch of new members this year. Some of you are here. There's something called a pack my bag moment. So what does that mean? Well, some people call it aha moment. Some people call it takeaway. Okay, I'm the son of Carol Mondosian, who I talk about a lot. Been in teaching for 53 years. She doesn't teach anymore. And she taught me one thing is if you could learn something and you could pack your bags and leave the class because that's all you wanted to, hear, you would do it because that's your big aha, right? But you're not going to leave because there's a lot more to learn. And so PMB moment is a pack my bag moment. So what I do is I don't say which of these are pack my bag moments. Instead, I act like Carol and I play manipulative. Here's what I want you to think about. This is a pack my bag moment right now. Are you ready? If you're ready, type in ready in the chat. Okay, this is a pack my bag moment because your company only has 2 divisions. And thank you for playing with me. Okay, if you don't want to play, it's no problem. A physical event, if people walk out, even if they're going to the bathroom, it's terrifying. Here, if they leave, I can't even tell because I'm just looking at myself. So it's no big deal. You can stay or go. Every business has 2 divisions, pimping and pampering. Pimping and pampering. When I'm at the Genius Network, when I'm at that event on a Saturday morning to bring in new people, sometimes I get feedback saying, Alex, you were selling too hard. I don't care. That's my pimping hat. Well, right now I have my pampering hat. Stick strategies are not about pimping. They're not about getting new traffic. And they're not about converting that traffic. They're about fulfilling the traffic. Fulfillment means delivery. Okay. Fulfillment. And if you read this aloud, you can lip sync it if you want. Fulfillment turns touch points into transformational profits. I had to think of 2 TPs to look smart to you. So there you go. Fulfillment, all those touch points can turn into transformational profits. Every touch point is a transformational opportunity to turn into profit without pimping. Lufthansa is an airline, and they had a new CEO over 25 years ago. And I read it in a book, so I don't know if it's true, but it's a great story. So let's pretend like it's true. There's 73 touch points between the time when someone says hi to a Lufthansa person, an airline attendant or someone on customer service, and when they get on the plane and they leave. 73 touch points. All the CEO did is make those touch points into transformational experiences. That's it. And everything changed. What is that? That's called fulfillment. After the sale, not before the sale. Stick strategies turn fulfillment into high profit generations. What does that mean? Profit generation, I know people from Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, the late Ted Nicholas, the late Joe Sugarman. They had multi-generational students that studied from them. Like 3 or 4 generations, son, father, grandfather. That is stick. Can you imagine? What if you did that 7 generations, like 100 years? Wouldn't that be cool? So I'm going to go by this very, very quickly in the next 10 minutes because that's all I got. Is what's the single most profitable stick strategy? That's what SS stands for. It stands for something else too, but that's over 80 years ago. Stick strategies that can add a 0 to your lifetime value. What is the single most profitable stick strategy? That's not a pop quiz because you probably wouldn't know, but I'm going to tell you. And then there's 3 tactics within that strategy. All right. Now, everyone should do this. And I'm not going to should all over you this morning. You'll get shoulded on probably by employees, friends, colleagues, spouses, whomever, ex-spouses. But I will tell you, it's a good idea to think about this and rework it, because what is the single most important touch point along the client journey? Remember, you've gotten the traffic. It could be a referral. It could be online. It could be just being at an event. You converted the traffic. They purchased. And remember, your credit card purchase is an intention, gang. It's an intention. You decide if you want to keep them on. How many problem children have you had over the years, having customers, right? It's all the credit card purchase is an intention. Everything, the engagement starts with the stick. So the answer to this question, I believe, the single most important touch point along the client journey, we're talking stick. This is the only stick I'm talking about as a strategy, and then 3 tactics to it, because that was the promise, is onboarding. I guarantee if I audited your onboarding, I get paid $30,000 to audit onboarding. If I audited your onboarding, I think you would be embarrassed by the time we're done, because there's so many more things you can do for onboarding. Why don't people do it? Me included. Because you're exhausted getting the traffic and trying to convert, putting your company together, dealing with family, whatever else. And by the time someone purchases, you go, okay, well, Onboarding, we'll just tell them what they're about to get. And then onboarding becomes an afterthought. Guess what? Design your onboarding first. Before your ads, before your conversion scripts, before any of that stuff, design your onboarding first. Joe will remember this. Millennials won't even know what I'm talking about. I think Paul Keuilian will remember it. There used to be something called snail mail, and we used to call it direct mail. And in the direct mail package, there was something called the coupon or the order form. It was a card. It would actually fall out. There were copywriters who were paid millions of dollars, many of whom I know and knew. I know them still, but they're not living here on earth. There would be this little card that would pop out, and that would be the order card. Well, guess what? People would do the order card last when it was the single most important card in that envelope. So a guy named Ted Nicholas, I'm Armenian, he's Greek, so we're kind of brothers from other mothers. He's no longer living, but bright, very bright guy, brilliant marketer, multi-millionaire. He taught me to make the business reply card, which is called a BRC. Write that first. That way you won't forget the 800 number, which Joe Sugarman created, who we lost recently, and also all the other important information. When the BRC, the business reply card, is an afterthought. Well, in the same philosophy, do your onboarding first. Design it first so you're excited about it, right? It's like the day after you get married, allegorically, why not make that like it was the first meeting and your heart is racing and you're telling them what's about to happen and you just can't wait, right? And every day is a new day and you get more excited because you're going to learn something new about this person. That's what onboarding should do. Now, a guy named Niccolo Machiavelli said the ends justify the means. The end justify the means. Many people have said that. He said it in the 1500s. He wrote a book called The Prince. I disagree. I think the start justifies the means. Now, in the chat, write down if you're a dog person or a cat person, because I'll learn more about you just by doing that than anything else. And I will disenfranchise half of you because I'm a dog person. All right, see a lot of dog people, cat people, sorry. I love dogs and cats. Okay, that's schizophrenic, okay? We want just one. I want to be decisive. You can't do both. You can't do both, okay? Okay, dog, good. If you've ever trained a puppy, it determines how that dog becomes a great dog as an adult. The start justifies the means. If you don't crate the puppy, you're fucked. You're screwed, sorry. If you let the puppy just roam around outside, they'll dig and you'll blame them. It's like a baby, same shit, different species. If you let the puppy just roam around the house, you don't follow them, they'll chew on the furniture. The point of having a puppy for 6 months is to do what it takes to make that puppy into a great adult dog for hopefully the next 13 to 15 years, sometimes longer. So the start justifies the means. And so that is onboarding. You get to indoctrinate them as a stick strategy, how to think, what to think, and why they're thinking what they're thinking according to your culture, okay? So question, what is onboarding? Onboarding is the first touch after they order. And it should be ready, not an afterthought, it should be ready to go. Why is onboarding so relevant to LTV? Because it's the single most important stick strategy there is. Because like training a puppy, you're crating, you're sequestering your new client, customer, patient, member, whatever you call them. So you indoctrinate them into your thinking. Makes life so much easier later on, right? I know when someone has a great dog, I know if they were a great trainer, as you know, with a puppy. It's a pain in the ass. I have 2 kids. If someone has kids here now, you know that you can never underestimate the power of denial as a parent. Am I right? If you have teenagers, you can never underestimate the power of denial, right? Well, a puppy, it's like, they just want to have fun. And that is a new customer, a new client, a new member. I'll call them a client, just as a catch-all term. They want to have fun. So why don't we shepherd them and usher them in the right direction through this amazing stick strategy, which can really make a difference. How does onboarding work step by step? Well, I'm going to give you the steps. There are 3 of them. The goal, though, of onboarding is engagement. A disengaged client is not a client. A disengaged client is not an appreciating asset. I look at every client as an appreciating asset. Not as a bag of money, but as an asset, as a friend. I'm an appreciating asset for Joe. Every year, there's no way I could leave Genius Network. Guilt and shame are two worthless emotions. That keeps me in. That's a good stick strategy, but that's by the universe and my own doing and my childhood upbringing. So I can thank my parents for that. By the way, my humor doesn't get any better. So if you're not laughing, it's not going to get any better. And so onboarding, the goal of onboarding is engagement. And the reason you want to engage them, which a stick strategy is, stick, engaged, right? Flypaper, stick, right? You want to avoid BSO syndrome. BSO syndrome. Does anyone know what, not BS, everyone knows that. What does BSO stand for? BSO. And by the way, if you want to steal any of these lines, you can. I saw some things. Yeah, Tom, you can steal it. Cheers. Bright, shiny object. Bright, shiny object syndrome. What's the number one most crippling factor of any mastermind? BSO syndrome. You know why? They don't know how to have a love affair. They just want to fling. And once it gets dull in their mind, it's not dull. It's actually shinier. But they think it's getting dull. They got their own issues. Joe may say addictions, right? And so the way to avoid BSO syndrome, so they go to somebody else and then get confused and then poo-poo your strategies, tactics, products, services, whatever you have, is to keep them engaged. How do you start that? How do you light the fuse? Onboarding. What is onboarding? A stick strategy. There's over 108 that Joe and I have taught. This is a stick strategy. This is a stick strategy. This is a Genius Network charger, right? So your laptop is out of juice. You put this in there. This is a stick strategy. This is a $500 deck of cards. Okay, I'm a fractional CMO for companies, and this is a deck of cards, and it's not $1 because there's no gambling here. This is where you become the casino. Why is it $500? Literally, we get 497 bucks. Why? Because it sounds better than 500. But these are all objections, 52 of the top objections any salesperson will face. And on the back is how to respond. So we train our sales team that way. Is that a stick strategy? WTF, I'm not going to use the F-bomb. You want to see a really good stick strategy for my my mastermind? I got them all bobbleheads. So this is me. This guy's Indian, because when I went to India and I said yes or no, I was waiting for this or this, but I see this instead, right? So this is a Alex Mondosian bobblehead. Imagine you get a bobblehead like this and it arrives at your home. That's a stick strategy. Another stick strategy. Let's say we're going to renew for year number 2 for a mastermind. I have all these. You can't see it in the back, but I have all these journals where every journal is one mastermind meeting I've gone to. So I say, what if I took all those journals? There's over 65 of them. I put them in one. The best ideas, they're in this one. And I have a digital readout of it. If you like it, you got to renew. Okay. So that's a stick strategy because they're already a customer. They're already a client. Another stick strategy is, hey, 100% commitment means all in. I give these all in rocks. They cost me $1 as a premium. And they have it right in front of them when they're writing copy, when they're doing marketing campaigns, and they're being reminded of me. This is a wristband that says Carpe Vitam. If you know Carpe Diem, that means seize the day. Carpe Vitam means seize your life, like curriculum vitae. And this is not any ordinary wristband. This has over $50,000 worth of funnels inside, marketing funnels. It's a flash drive. So I give this stick strategy after they purchase something that's very expensive, like a 25K something, right? And it can go on and on. So there's all kinds of stick strategies like that. But for onboarding, because if I taught you one thing and 3 tactics, you'll remember. If I taught you a bunch, you'll forget, right? So 3 simple steps to onboarding. Here it is. Just answer this question. What is the intention of the client journey? Is it to double profits? Is it to be happier in a relationship? Is it to stop an addiction? Is it to build their own mastermind? You answer that question. I can't answer it for you. So that's the first question you got to answer, and you let them know. Why is the client journey purposeful? Give them the why. What is the head? Why is the heart? Why is it so purposeful for them? Like, why will this journey, which you already mapped out, right? Not so much, but if you did, then you know how to onboard them, because you can't onboard without a client journey mapped out. Maybe that'll be the next lesson that we teach. So why is it so purposeful? Give them the why. When I say pack my bag moments, I'm giving you the pack my bag moment. You have pimping and you have pampering division. Your stick people are always pampering, always. Your support team can make more money if you turn them into stick managers, which we can teach them how to do. That's like a trial close for a year from now. All right, how can the client journey be more strategic for them? In other words, how can they maximize their client journey? So teach them how to get the most out of what they're about to learn. Maybe it's your curriculum. If you're teaching something in the members area, if you have nutraceuticals or something ingestible, tell them, when to do it, how to do it. If it's about sleep, tell them to put an alarm before they go to bed. I know people that wake up with an alarm, but how about going to bed? Same gentleman, Dr. Michael Bruce, he said, all you got to do is wake up each day the same time. You don't have to worry about anything else. That's one stick strategy to get better sleep. So if that guy's been doing it and he knows what he's talking about for 25 years, then that's a good tip. So the onboarding formula is intention. It's like, what is this client journey? Let them know. Purpose, why is it so important to them right now? Why is it so relevant? And strategy, how are they going to maximize it? How are they going to maximize it? Every single onboarding needs a concierge. So you need a person who's a concierge, who's going to be their omnibuds person, the person who defends them, the good cop. And they need an onboarding concierge. And the important point going back to what I already said is when they made a payment, I don't care if it's 50K, I've gotten 100K, I've gotten 440K from one person in Pakistan, a business. I didn't even know what I was going to sell him. I just threw it out there and he said yes, right? The transaction is only the intention. When they pay you, that's only the intention, right? So the most important thing is to get them onboarded. And then after you've onboarded them, and I'll show you a video if you'd like for another mastermind. And I'll ask Joe if it's okay, but it's the example I have because this gentleman actually put value into onboarding, paid me a lot of money for an onboarding video. It's 18 minutes, and it just says all those things. In fact, it shows these cards as well. There are declarations expected of them to build membership and community. Clients, customers are not members. Members know each other. Clients, customers, patients don't know each other. Maybe in the waiting area, if you're in a doctor's office, but members know each other. Amex, American Express, they have different colors. Membership has its benefits. Who gives a shit about Visa or MasterCard or Discover? I mean, it's just another card. American Express, that's a brand, and they charge more money just for the right to charge with different colors. Imagine paying $5,000 just for the right to charge. What do they have? A concierge for platinum and black. So here are 3 micro tactics when people are onboarded. We bring people into a Telegram group anytime they're in a high ticket program for us. We don't go to WhatsApp. We don't go to Facebook because Telegram can edit comments easily. You can't do that in WhatsApp. And Facebook, there's too much litter. These are my personal opinions, right? So I love using Telegram for that reason. I have Signal as well, but I don't use Signal because you can't edit. I love making a mistake and editing it, instead of deleting it. So when they come into our Telegram group, the concierge says, all right, please let everyone know, where are you from? This is a new member, right? They're kind of a little bit nervous. Now, what do you do? They don't know what they do. The smartest people in the world can't even utter what they do. But where are you from? They know that, right? Why are you here? Like, why'd you say yes? It's kind of like, I don't know, auto-suggestive self-talk, You want them to change an identity, right? You want they're now a Genius Network member, not a participant. And then how will you serve? How will you serve this group? So where are you from? Why are you here? How will you serve? That is after you've onboarded them and now they're connecting to everyone else. So first it's one-to-one with them. And then next it's one-to-many with them and everyone else. Behavior never lies. So the key to this one stick strategy is only one of so many. If you want to hear more, we have more. But the key is behavior never lies. If you have kids, you know this to be true. If you have an ex-wife, you know it's true, or spouse. And if you have a puppy, you know it's true. Cats, they don't qualify.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. You're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.